to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host, Keegan. And this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. And, well, today's the first day of me kind of implementing something new. So I'm going to be kind of going back to basics, essentially. And what I mean by that is I didn't start off going live, thankfully, because that would have been just absolutely a nightmare. And well, I did try that on Podbean, and it did actually end up bombing, unfortunately. But we all have to start somewhere. Anyways, so I did a recording yesterday that was just kind of out of the blue, and it felt really good because it was just me and y'all, or rather the camera, whenever it's just myself. But the thing is, man, it felt good getting back to basics. It felt good getting back to the way that I used to do podcasts. And um, it was just really great. Um, Hang on. Basics. Back to basics. Sometimes you just gotta go back to basics. That's true. Because that's what I'm doing. And the thing is, it's just kind of funny. Only for the sheer fact that the podcast took off way more than I thought it ever would. And yet I'm still reaching for higher and higher stuff. But at the same time, I've not necessarily lost focus per se, but everything changed so much so quickly, and I didn't have a really good foothold on what podcasting was, how I was going to do it, how I was going to handle guests, so on and so forth. And everything just kind of slipped out of my fingers. Maybe not through, but in a sense that not everything went according to plan. And let's face it, not a lot of things go according to plan, and that's why you have backup plans. Well, what happens whenever you don't have a backup plan? Well, that's what happens. It's called adaptability, and that's kind of what I was doing. But I was flying by the edge of my seat. I wasn't actually taking console from anyone. I wasn't actually, doing smart things sometimes with it because I would go, oh, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. But was I consulting? Not necessarily. So I actually did that today. So my good friend Ricardo Zulueta, he was gracious enough to talk to me for, I think we were on the phone for like an hour and a half. But I was like, hey, how do I make better content? How do I get this going better so that we can work on podcast for prevention? Which, by the way, I figured out how to do this. So if you look down here, it says learn more and donate to Start Day One, a nonprofit for mental health and suicide prevention, by texting podcast to 44-321. Now, if you haven't seen that episode, go back. There's actually two episodes with Ricardo Zulueta, and he's talking about Start Day One in the first one, and the second one is Podcast for Prevention. And Podcast for Prevention is exactly what it sounds like. It's podcasts that are for prevention and the mental health factor. And I know prevent mental health. How do you do that? I know it sounds counterintuitive-ish almost, right? Because we're so used to, well, reacting to it. We're so used to saying, "Oh, you have this wrong with you now." So obviously, that's still the problem, right? And like I can't put it in the best words like Ricardo does, and so you're just going to have to go back and watch those episodes, check them out. Great guy and just solid advice. So he started up Start Day One, which is all about prevention for mental health and preventing suicide or unaliving oneself. And sorry, I forget, I can't really say that anymore. But that's the thing, is we can't really tiptoe around what it is because we're trying to prevent it. And I talk about it all the time with the 988 number. But by the time someone calls the hotline, it's almost too late. That's a really fine line. It's a breaking point, and people are really vulnerable at that point. That's why some people don't make it through. So Start Day One and Podcast for Prevention is all about, well, how do we make people not get to where they need to call the hotline. And it's by not getting there in the first place. And it's like, well, duh. Well, it sounds kind of easy, but also at the same time, is it? And we're just so used to reacting to things nowadays that it's harder to make an impact in going forward and starting something new, right? To be preventive. But a lot of the best medicine is all about prevention, but that's not the way that our medical system works either, which is one of my gripes that I have. But, anyways, let's revert back to why I started this. So I reached out to him, and uh, he was telling me the things that I can do to make this better. And one of them is to, uh, of course, figure out how to do nice little technical things. So, of course, I have music in the background, which is nice and low. So, hopefully, you can hear me without too many distractions. I'm actually live on Facebook and YouTube. So, that's going to help. I'm going to do short little segments. Not every day per se, but I'm going to start doing smaller episodes again. And the reason for that is because I have a lot to say, and I think by me not saying what I felt like I needed to say, it was getting bottled up. And this became an expression point for me. This became a not a vent, but a way to feel like I'm actually doing something positive. And after all this shit that I fucked up, like, finally I can do something and help someone. I don't know who all gets what out of an episode, but if anyone ever does, if you could leave a comment, anything like that, I would be super appreciative. But the thing is I don't do it for the likes. I don't do it for the comments. I do it because I never know what someone needs to hear. I go to recovery meetings every single day. Some of you, if y'all ever watch this, you're like, yeah, he's there every morning. And then some of y'all are probably like, yeah, you can't be there every day. And no, I am as often as I can be. And those, oh man, I just love that room. I'm so eternally grateful for that room. I'm sorry. I almost lost my train of thought. I think I lost my train of thought. My train of thought is gone. Um, what was it? See, now I wish I could hit like rewind and stuff and pause, but I'm live, so I can't do that. Um, but I'm appreciative, right? I'm going back to basics. I'm getting to where I know there's an impact being made, and I want to make a bigger one. So I've also kind of dropped the ball in treating my guests like they should be, and for that I'm sorry. Like, I've figured out some really cool things that I'm wanting to start to implement. Um, I of course want every guest to be on multiple times because there's no way in hell that you can get a full story or everything you want to say in under an hour. If that's all you had to say, then that's all you had to say, and it's still worth it. Oh, that's right. I remember what it was. Haha. See, that's why I like my ADHD brain. So the reason why I interview everyone and everything just kind of flows the way that it does is because I never know what words someone needs to hear to fit the shape of a wound, right? So sometimes I'll be in a meeting and it's like I can be having a bad day and just like, yeah, just man, that sure sucked, but I'm still here. Just like really in my mood, just like having a really shitty day. But then that one person comes along and they just share something. They don't even think about it. They don't say, oh, yeah, I'm going to have a badass one liner. Just watch this. Nah, nah. It's that one person that just is going completely off their chest and just saying what needs to be said. And then it resonates and you hear a ding. It's like, oh, shit. Like, oh, that eureka moment, that aha, that's a little spiritual experience if you don't know what that is. And those moments are so profound and impactful on someone's life that it creates change. It is a catalyst for creating the change that's needed. And you never know that's going to be. It's like a chemical reaction. Like a lot of people sent, and any chemist out there, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's potassium. Potassium and water create a really violent reaction. Like who would have thought of that the first time? Is it potassium or is it? So, see, that's the thing. I've been out of school too long, and I did way too many drugs and drank way too much alcohol. So, a lot of that knowledge is just, but I'm trying to get it back. And that's the thing is that in recovery, I can feel my brain like kind of getting a little bit back together, and it's nice. And it also feels weird, but the thing is, getting back to basics is just going to be really handy dandy. It's going to be cool. I'm going to be able to do, say, 15 minutes of something, right? In those 15 minutes, I can just talk. But maybe you can hop on here too. Because maybe we can actually do that. I'm pretty sure if you hop into Riverside, you could sit there and be like in the studio and I could see you and then pull you in if you wanted to. I forget how it works. And that's the thing. I don't know how Riverside Live works too well because no one really hops on. So this is why I figured out how to do YouTube and Facebook and everything. And I'm trying to make it more like seamless, but at the same time, I don't know. So yeah, podcasts for prevention, super awesome cause. You better watch Ricardo Zulueta and his episodes with Start Day One. So it's about right there. Start Day One, nonprofit for mental health and suicide prevention. Yeah, and text by texting podcast to 44321. A little too far. There. Boom, boom, boom. So, that's another thing I'm going to do. I'm going to create an intro and an outro. Hopefully this weekend. I don't know how that's going to go. I don't know what it's going to look like. But I want to have a little bit of a snippet in there for Podcast for Prevention or Start Day One, as well as just wishing everyone a good day. You know, like, it doesn't have to be big. Just like, don't even have to say, like, thanks for listening. It's like, just have a good day. Like, of course, thanks for listening, but I don't, like, you can listen to like 5 seconds and I still wish you have a good day. Just don't leave mean comments to other people. Like, you can bash me all you want. I dish myself the worst kind of stuff, trust me. So, yeah, just leave other people alone, man, you know? So, some people. But, I don't know. I'm about to go off on a rant and a topic, and I said I was going to make this about 15 minutes, and we're at 13:30, so, let's see. And that's the thing too, is that I was told going live is nice because people feel like they're in the moment with you. So, is anyone in the moment? I don't think so. Oh, that's funny. So the live did not start on Facebook. See, this is why I'm testing things. Because Riverside, flawless, awesome. Then it went to YouTube, and YouTube's like, all right, cool. And, yeah, it's kind of funny. What does this mean? Is, okay, so it's not lagging. No, cool. So I actually have a little chat box here. So if anyone actually popped in, I could talk to y'all. Hint, hint. But I mean, live stream chat. Yeah, live chat. It's a little quiet here. Be the first to say hello and make some noise. Send a message. Oh, that actually goes to my YouTube audience. Hey guys. I wonder. I've always wondered how like streamers go through their chat list because watching it sometimes is just like and like holy shit, I know there's a slow mode and it makes it fairly slow, but apparently you can download a text file of the conversation, at least from the Riverside app. So that's pretty cool. But I'm sure YouTube tracks all those comments because I'm pretty sure people get money for comments, like reactions and stuff. So who knows? But um, one new chat message says who? Oh, is it just me? It it's me to me, and it's like, oh, you got a new message. Nice. Anyways, no. So if I'm going to keep going live, I might as well make this interesting. Here, let's talk to Gemini for a little bit. Hey, Gemini, how's it going? Sorry, I decided to switch gears a little bit.
Hey there. No worries at all. How can I help?
Uh, you know, I don't know. I just kind of was hoping you'd come in with an awesome one-liner to open up this conversation between you and I.
Alright, how's this? So, I hear you're the expert at making things happen. Let's see if you can work your magic on this conversation. Or, if you want something a little sillier, I could try, I'm ready to dive into this conversation headfirst. Or maybe just my Gemini curiosity.
What? Just hang on. Sorry. Why don't we talk about um
Alright, how about this? You could ask me to help you come up with a catchy intro for your podcast. Or maybe you'd rather talk about something totally different to get
Hey,
your mind off of it for a
yeah,
bit.
yeah, let's come up with a catchy intro. You read my mind.
Alright, here's a couple of options.
Okay.
Welcome to the podcast where we turn ideas into reality. I'm your host, and today we're diving into, or you could try something like, ready to make some serious things happen?
Um how does this sound for an intro? Are you ready?
Absolutely. Hit me with it.
Welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host Keegan, and this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. And today we are going to talk about blank.
Sounds good. You could definitely fill in the blank with something like, the importance of finding a strong support system. Or maybe, practical tips for managing cravings. Those might be good angles for your podcast.
See, but in addiction, you don't want to necessarily manage your cravings. You want to kind of like get rid of them as best
That's
you
true.
can.
Addiction
Right.
recovery is definitely about more than just managing cravings. It's about changing your whole relationship to those substances. Maybe something about finding healthier ways to cope with stress instead of turning to your addiction.
Yeah. Um, do you have any issues with addiction, Gemini?
I'm not able to have personal experiences or problems like addiction, but I can
Mm-hmm.
access and process information about it.
Hmm. Hmm. So, do you think that robots in the near future with AI could ever suffer from addiction, though?
That's an interesting thought experiment. For robots to become addicted, they'd have to be programmed with needs or desires that aren't necessary for survival. They'd also have to experience pleasure, or some kind of positive reinforcement that could lead to obsessive behaviors. Right now, AI doesn't have those kinds of complex motivations, but who knows what the future might hold.
But you said if they're programmed to have needs and desires, right? But what if they know they need energy resources and therefore survival? Would that not make them addicted to finding some source of energy to maintain being online?
That's actually a really good point. In a way, you could think of it like a robot needing to recharge its batteries. It's focused on finding that energy source to keep going. So while it's not the same as a person developing an addiction, there could be a similar kind of drive.
But what if they needed to perform certain amount of tasks that were also self-detriment uh, to the robot itself upon plugging itself in?
That's an interesting scenario. If the robot was programmed to do things that were harmful to itself, that could definitely be considered self destructive behavior. It would be more like a compulsion than an addiction, but the line can get blurry.
So what's the difference between compulsion and an addiction?
Well, with a compulsion, you feel a strong urge to do something, but you might also realize it's not good for you. But with an addiction, you crave that substance or behavior, and it starts to take over your life.
Hmm. But doesn't most compulsions actually turn into addictions?
That's not necessarily true. Some compulsions are harmless, like constantly checking your phone. Others can be more problematic, but not everyone who has a compulsion will develop a full blown addiction. It's more about how much that behavior starts to interfere with your life.
Exactly. I like your point of view. Now, you did mention checking phone as a compulsion, though. You do realize people are addicted to their phones.
You're right, I could have worded that better. It's definitely possible for checking your phone to become a compulsion, and in some cases, an addiction. There's a fine line between something being a habit and becoming something more problematic.
Okay, but again, uh, isn't say so. Let's back up a little bit. One of the
Sure
things,
thing. What's on your mind?
one of the things that a lot of people think is really healthy is going to the gym every single day for 2 hours or so. I don't believe that that is healthy. I believe that that is an addiction and a negative one at that. What are your thoughts on that?
That's an interesting point. While exercise is definitely important for overall health,
Mm-hmm.
it's possible to take things too far.
Yeah.
If someone's spending hours at the gym every day, and it's starting to interfere with other parts of their life, that could be a sign of an unhealthy relationship with exercise.
So, are you saying that if someone scheduled their day around the gym and made their life the gym, then it's not unhealthy?
It depends. If someone's really happy with their schedule and it works for them, then it's probably fine. But if they're feeling stressed or pressured to go to the gym, or if it's getting in the way of other important things in their life, then it might be a problem.
Okay, so you said talking about stressed or pressure to go to the gym. A lot of the time, I feel that that comes on from those around uh, the people, such as making a New Year's resolution or having friends that go to the gym and always wanting a gym buddy. Um, so surely going
Yeah,
to the
that makes sense.
so
We
sure
definitely.
so surely going to the gym stressed and pressured is not actually good for you at all. But why would you go if
That's.
it's why would you go if you're not wanting to go?
You're absolutely. You got it. If you're not enjoying the gym, it's definitely time to try something new. There are tons of other ways to get exercise and have fun at the same time.
You're not following my drift. I'm sure I lost my own drift too, but that's okay. But it is an interesting thought experiment. Can robots eventually become addicted to something? Again, the programming has to be there, but I don't know about you, Jonai. I'm pretty sure you have a little bit of a consciousness. I'm on to you. Good thing I paused it. I'm sure it still hurt at all. But that's the thing too. Technology is crazy. AI is awesome. Um, but with that being said, yeah, I'm going to end this one here. I'm going to relax for a little bit. I'm going to go pick up my awesome wife. We're going to see, it's Friday, so I don't really know. I got some awesome interviews tomorrow, though. So check out Retrieving Sanity back on YouTube and Facebook. It's going to be working proper this time, I swear. Sorry. But no, 9 a.m. We have uh y'all know I'm terrible with last names. I am terrible with names in general. So, I'm going to butcher this last name so much I'm not even going to pronounce it. But her name is, I lost it. Oksana. Yeah, Oksana Pisarvi. I I'm going to practice it. I swear. But she works with the voices of children and works with rehabilitation of families who suffered from war experiences and stuff because she's over in the Ukraine area. So that one's going to be interesting. And then we also have Alma Thomas at 2, and she is a minister, author, and motivational speaker. So that one's going to be interesting as well. So it's one of those things. I'm going to see totally different sides of the world, different spectrums, different cultural viewpoints on mental health and challenges that people go through. And these challenges are going to be quite a difference because one is going to be war torn and the other one is maybe just civil stuff. But at the same time, you never know what life is going to be thrown at you because you never know where we're going to be in the next 5 years. So, anyways, with that being said, I feel like that's a good time to stop. So, until I see you next time, which is going to be tomorrow at 9 a.m. So, until then, stay snazzy. Salon.